Yo, it's James here for my first week in review of the NFL season. Starting with week 5, so punctual, of course. But finally, we're here, we're doing it, so let's get it started. Colts versus Broncos. This game was terrible. One of the worst football games I've ever seen in my life. Matt Ryan looked terrible, Russell Wilson looked terrible. This game was an overall mess. Not much more to say, to be honest. Cowboys versus Rams. Holy crap, the Rams are a soul-sucking team to watch at this point. Just terrible, man. The O-line has been abysmal, the defense is showing holes that it didn't last year, and Stafford just doesn't look right at all. On the opposite end, though, the Cowboys look good, so credit to them. Cooper Rush continues to impress, and their defense looks incredibly strong. Their showdown with the Eagles this week should be a very entertaining affair. Lions versus Patriots. I love Detroit, so this game was disappointing from them, especially on the offensive end. Coming to this matchup, they were the number one scoring offense in the league and somehow mustered 0 points in this game, while their defense remained disappointing, allowing 29 points from the Patriots. I honestly give the Pats a lot of credit for this game, though. The defense looked phenomenal, and on the offensive end, backup rookie quarterback Bailey Zappi remained composed the whole way through and gave a really solid performance in Mac Jones' absence. Bills versus Steelers. The Bills are Super Bowl favorites. This team is genuinely so good, and at points have looked completely unstoppable. The Steelers, on the other hand, look terrible and are way worse at this point in the season than I thought they would be. Kenny Pickett, I think, is still have a bright future, but starting his career with 4 interceptions and no touchdowns is obviously not ideal. Overall, this game was a blowout between two teams that are clearly not on the same level. Chargers versus Browns. This game was a lot of fun. Both teams went back and forth, and really it was anyone's guess as to who would leave with the W until the final horn actually sounded. Ultimately, the Chargers were the ones to come out on top, but only just. Their head coach Brandon Staley made a near-fatal mistake by going for it on 4th and 1 in the Chargers' own territory. This was nearly costly as it failed, and the Browns got the ball back in plus territory, but at the end of the game, their offense didn't move the ball much, and Cade York ultimately missed a long field goal. Could definitely be worrying if Staley plays that fast and loose the rest of the year, but at the end of the day, they got the win in a good game, and that's what really matters. Texans versus Jaguars. This was a low-scoring affair where neither team looked amazing. The Jags were impressing me a lot early in the season, but this week they definitely didn't. T-Law threw 2 picks, and the offense couldn't muster a touchdown. On the flip side, it wasn't too bad of a showing from the Texans. On the defensive side, they forced turnovers and held strong all around, and offensively, Dameon Pierce carried the load and scored a lone touchdown in this game. Overall, this was a showdown against two teams lower on the totem pole, and that's sort of how it felt. Dolphins versus Jets. It just looked phenomenal this game, and the Dolphins were very clearly missing to it. No offense to Skylar Thompson, but he just really couldn't get it going, and Miami suffered for it. While on the flip side, the Jets' run game was operating like a well-oiled machine, and Zach Wilson was doing everything he needed for his team to get the win. The Jets have been surprisingly solid this season, and I'm kind of loving it. I hope to see Tua healthy again soon, though. Seahawks versus Saints. This was another really fun game. It was just straight offensive fireworks on both sides for a majority of the contest. I definitely underrated Geno Smith the last time I talked about him. He's been playing like a top 10 quarterback this season and making some ridiculous throws, especially in this game. Seahawks may not be a great team overall, but he's been awesome, and their offense has shown a lot of flashes as a result. On the opposite side of that, the Saints were carried in this game by Taysom Hill, who put up 4 touchdowns and proved once again that he is probably the most versatile player in the game today. The Saints got the win in an absolute dogfight. Overall, an awesome game. 49ers versus Panthers. The 49ers are a good team, the Panthers are not. That was basically the story of this game. It was a 20-point blowout, and the Niners dominated in every aspect. Baker looked sloppy, and Matt Rule was 100% on the chopping block. I feel bad for all the Panthers fans out there. Falcons versus Buccaneers. This game was closer than I think anyone really expected it to be, and that was all because of the fourth quarter. For the first 3 quarters, though, the Bucs looked great and dominated the Falcons en route to taking a 21-0 lead. In the fourth, the Falcons came to life, scoring 15 straight and were a defensive step away from getting the ball back again. But instead, the Bucs got a couple first downs and the game was over. In this game, the Bucs again showed that they are very good, but definitely not unbeatable. The Falcons showed that they don't quit when behind, but would be a lot better if they could just play well early. Bears versus Vikings. This game was also pretty enjoyable to watch, especially in the second half. The Vikings got up early, the Bears made a comeback, then the Vikings shut the door late in the fourth and came away with a win. The Vikings are currently 4-1 and stand atop the AFC North. They've been very impressive this season, and even though this game almost got away from them, it didn't, and that's what matters. If they can keep up their current level of play, minus the Philly game, then this team could potentially make some noise. A team that is not making any noise this season is the Bears. They really didn't look that bad in this game, so credit to them, but overall this team really isn't good. They are a step above the bottom of the barrel, but only a small step, and I don't see that changing as the year goes on. Packers versus Giants. Brian Daboll is making a strong case for Coach of the Year this season. He has a team that many, myself included, had pegged as candidates for another top 3 pick in this year's draft, sitting at 4-1 and beating good teams. The Packers, for example, are a good team, and the Giants faced them in London this week and won in an overall solid performance on both sides of the ball, but especially offensively. The Packers really didn't play that terribly, but they were just outperformed, especially later in the game when the Giants' defense stood up in the red zone for a stop that in all reality gave them the win. Eagles versus Cardinals. This game was interesting. It wasn't an offensive barn burner, but there was still some excitement to be had. The quarterback matchup was cool on paper, and though neither guy blew up the box score through the air, both guys used their mobility quite well. Hurts especially, who put up 2 touchdowns on the ground, and another example of him being able to do whatever this team needs to win and really looking like the guy of the season. Kyler made a mistake on his last drive, and even though he threw a touchdown and had slightly more yards, I'd say he lost his duel, and his team also lost the game. I feel like the Cardinals could be solid, but they just seem to keep coming up short. Eagles, on the other hand, still look great, and like I said earlier, this matchup with Dallas this week should be a lot of fun. Titans versus Commanders. At this point, both these teams have looked pretty mid this season, though on the whole, the Titans have looked a lot better, and that was the case here too, but barely. Neither team scored in the fourth quarter, and for the first three, the Titans did what they do best: rely on Derrick Henry, who to his credit put up 2 touchdowns and was really the one that brought them to the W. The Commanders had a few solid plays on O's with a couple of really nice downfield passes, both of which were caught by De'Ami Brown, who looked really good. Ultimately, though, the run game prevailed, and the Titans took a hard-fought W as they still sit atop the poverty AFC South. Bengals versus Ravens. This was a really hard-fought and tight game all throughout. Both teams are capable of piling on points, but neither really did, so credit to both defenses on that. By the time the final horn rung, the final difference maker was really the Ravens' strengths, which are Lamar's ability to get downfield using his legs, which he did very well on the last drive, and then Justin Tucker's boot as he once again proved why he is possibly the greatest kicker of all time and knocked through another game winner to add to his history of hitting them. Chiefs versus Raiders. This was a really good game between division rivals. The Raiders jumped ahead early, and as I was watching, I really thought that they might have had the Chiefs. But then the game progressed, and the Chiefs did what they do, storming back as quickly as they went down. It was down to the wire, but on the final drive, the Raiders pulled what might be the most Raiders move possible, as Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow ran into each other on their routes, causing Derek Carr's final pass to go way far and into the dirt. And as a result, they lost 29-30. The Chiefs are still very good, and the Raiders are better than their record, but only one of these two teams is really a contender, and it's the one that pulled off the win.